Hello, is it me you're looking for?
Well, that sucks. All right. Welcome to the pod. 2 cents, Josh and Spence. Here we are, your hosts, Josh and
Spence.
Let's get it. How's it going, bro?
It's going good, man. How about you?
I'm good, baby.
Good. These are getting fun.
These are getting fun.
I enjoy recording these.
These are getting fun.
I hope our 4 listeners enjoy them too.
I know. All 4 of them. 4 or 5 star.
Shout out my mom. She's listening every week.
Yeah, she is. Okay, so before we go any further, funny little story here. So I'm like in the garage working out the other day, and like Nikki's over here. I got like my noise canceling headphones on, and I'm like, and I like chuckle, and I heard her say like, "What's so funny?" I'm like, I'm just listening to our podcast.
Yeah, dude.
Just self pop when no one's around.
I was listening to it in my car, like turn my car off. Me and Kenzie get in the car. The next time, like, and it just auto plays. It's like, oh, this is awkward. I'm just listening to myself.
Oh, dude, yeah, absolutely. Like voted for myself for Homecoming King too in 2006. So
obviously, dude,
I ain't scared.
Who cares?
But yeah, so this is what the episode is. This like 7, 8. I don't know. We've done a bunch of these episodes. We're like, what do we talk about? And we're like, well, we never really did like a who are you and why should we listen to your podcast type conversation.
Right.
So we're gonna just talk about ourselves for 20 minutes, see what happens.
You're good at it. I'm good at talking about yourself.
Well, let's start with you then. So who are you? Where are you from? Why real estate? What do you do for fun?
Well, I am Spence from Thief River Falls, Minnesota.
Heck yeah. That's just north of Moorhead, Minnesota. Shout out.
I guess so I went to college to be a paramedic. Became a paramedic. Was a paramedic for about 6 years. Really enjoyed it. I really like helping people. And I feel like that's why I'm now in real estate too. Mm-hmm. But just also was a big adrenaline junkie. Mm-hmm. Really enjoyed that. You know, you pull up on scene on a bad car accident and it's like just pumped full of adrenaline. Yeah. It's a good time.
You still get adrenaline when you do those kick flips on that skateboard too?
I do.
Is that what that's about?
I do, yeah.
Heck yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah, buddy. Love that.
But yeah, just have always wanted to help people. Loved being a paramedic up until I didn't love it. So what kind of happened, and not to make this a little pity podcast, but my younger brother died. Big tragedy, and then you go back to work and it's like tragedy after tragedy after tragedy just at work. You start to think like every day is like this. So I was like worried about my wife, like just driving to the grocery store, like she's going to get into a car accident, like be dead, like just, it was bad. So a lot of stress, wanted to switch it up. My dad has always owned his own businesses. Always told me you should own your own business. Highly recommend it. Well, real estate is just kind of an easy way to own your own business. Like really no startup funds, that kind of stuff. So that's what got me into it. Mm-hmm. Still love helping people. I feel like that's what drives me in real estate still, is helping people and being that like trusted person that, because like before it was like this person trusts me to like keep them alive. Now it's a little bit different, not as stressful, but this person trusts me with one of the biggest purchases that they'll ever make in their whole life. So,
yeah, that is an interesting perspective. I think about that, like, because now like we've done the pod, like the mindset pod, right? And so we're just like constantly surrounded by like high energy, positivity, all that type of stuff. And then you forget that there's other humans that like, work in hospitals and morgues and jails and firefighters and military people that like, it's
they're not appreciated enough.
100%.
That's for sure.
And yeah, it's not all like sunshine and rainbows all the time for them. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, man, tell me about you. Where are you from? What drives you? What got you into real estate?
So I'm from Grafton, North Dakota. Very, very proud to be from Grafton, North Dakota. So proud, in fact, my daughter's middle name is Walsh because my wife all of our families were all from Walsh County.
Huh.
So
Didn't know that.
No big deal. No
That's
big
pretty
deal.
cool.
Heck yeah. So from there, from Grafton, which is the Moorhead of North Dakota, in my opinion, which I'm happy to talk about anytime anybody asks me about it.
So just a dump.
Well, you got to head on a swivel sometimes, you know. But no, just a small blue collar hockey town with a bunch of railroad tracks in it, basically, is what it is. So, yeah, from there, I am a Red River Valley guy. So I sometimes you meet people from out of state, and they're like, "Oh, are you from? You know so and so from like Dickinson or whatever?" I'm like, nope. I just north and south, baby,
Yeah.
up and down that Red River Valley. I love fertile soil, and I love seeing people coming from 10 miles away. You know what I mean? So yeah, went to high school in Grafton, and then went to UND and got a degree in business from UND, and then I briefly moved to Seattle, Washington. I
Really?
just about said Seattle, Wisconsin, right there.
Real
It's not
quick.
Wisconsin.
Let me back up quick. When you got your degree in business, what was the plan then? Did you have one?
To figure it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just okay.
Yeah.
Good
Zero,
plan.
like,
That's a good plan.
oh, terrible plan. Stupid. Like the exact opposite of what I would encourage like my sons or my kids to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And especially, and that's a topic for another pod. But yeah, basically just, and at that time it was different, but it was like, hey, if you don't go to a 4-year university, then you're not gonna
make it.
What I mean? So it's a
Yep.
different animal. But anyway, just went to there like, oh, hope to figure it out. And yeah, I don't know. I got a business degree in entrepreneurship, which was like a newer, because it would be like business and like marketing or management or entrepreneurship was the one that I chose because it was newest and easiest and whatever. So then the one blessing out of there, like I had a great time, probably too much fun, quite frankly. But one of the great things from that is in that program, they required you to get an internship somewhere. And they also did not do anything to help you find that internship. So I'm like, all right. So I was talking to my cousin Karen, who at the time, this is wild too to think about. She was my age then.
Oh,
Like
okay.
I'm 34, so she was 34 years old then, more or less. She's about 10 years older than me. But anyway, her and her husband Isaac were partners in a law firm out there. So they're like, you can come do an internship out here and whatever. So I went out there and basically hung out for a month. But it was very cool because it was very eye opening, and it was a very much like a defining moment for me in my life, just to see other people my age now, like people in their like mid 30s being very successful. Like I'd never seen that before. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so I was of the mindset, like when I grew up, I wasn't, but like when I grew up, I always felt poor and I always felt small. You know what I mean? And like I wasn't poor, but I felt poor. You know what I mean? It's just whatever. It just is what it is. But like going back to like now, like my whole mission is to like spread joy and empower other people because I felt very unempowered. Like I just felt small and poor. I don't know why. But anyway, it was like, my parents both had very like just fine jobs or whatever, but they both, didn't make a ton of money. And they ended up doing very fine financially. They did great because they lived within their means, and like we went without a lot of stuff and whatever. And they ended up doing very fine. But that was like my life plan. It's like, okay, well, you need to work really hard.
Pull your mic closer.
You need to work.
There you go.
You need to work really hard and just wait. And then by the time you're 65, then you can hang out or
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
So then to see people like in their mid 30s, like still very vibrant, full of life and all that type of stuff, like going on not wild vacation, but like going to Hawaii. Like we never went to Hawaii. That was never even crossed my mind. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So just change that whole mindset of like,
Well,
okay,
that's how we were taught. Like
Yeah.
you go to college, you pay off a ton of debt until you're 65, and then you can chill out.
yeah. So anyway, so I don't like, I love UND. Like I had a great time, but I truly don't like credit any of my success, if I've had any or whatever, to going to UND per se. You know what I mean? And not to like dog on them, but at the same time, like any type of success that I've had, I feel like has just come from like self-education of like reading books and listening to all that type of stuff we talked about in our last pod. But But to be able to see that just kind of changed my whole perspective. Like, oh, there's another way to do this. Because I was very much like fixed minded. Because at the time I was like, okay, go to college, try to find out whatever your job is, and hopefully you get a good job right away, so that you kind of start with the leg up, so that it's, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Anyway, so then I came back, had one more semester at UND, finished, and then like had no other job prospects. So they're like, you can come back here and work here if you want, and like make pretty decent money. And so I did, but at the same time, like I had met my now wife, Nikki, and her son, Jace, who was 4 at the time, now my son. And I was just like, this sucks. This is stupid. So then I came back. But it just changed my whole perspective. So I'm like, okay, I want to get into something where I can like condense time or whatever. You know what I mean? Basically like J.G. Wentworth, like, I want my money now.
877 cash now. 877 cash now.
So anyway, so then that kind of started my journey. But then too, one of the cool things that Isaac, my cousin Karen's husband, good friend of mine, gave me the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, which I alluded to last time. So then I read that there, kind of changed my whole mindset. So started reading, started whatever.
That book changed my life too.
Oh, 100%.
Absolutely insane.
100%. So then came back here, started selling insurance, failed, spent all the money that I'd made in Seattle working here for free, like an idiot. Okay. So failed. So then I went and I got a job at a bank in town and was there for like 4 years or so. But then I kind of like, so I was very risk averse at that point, because I was like, I wanted to be at the bank because I wanted a steady paycheck because I didn't want to fail again. But then finally I was like, I'd be working at the bank and taking credit applications for people, and the people that would make the kind of money that I wanted to make to then start investing in real estate were all, with my skill set anyway, of like just a general knowledge of business, were salespeople. You know what I mean? So it's like, well, I should get into sales. Well, what should I sell if you want to invest in real estate? Well, you should get into selling real estate. So I did, and it's been dope.
Hell yeah.
Heck yeah.
Sorry. We'll bleep it out. Yeah. No, we won't.
Hit the censor button on it.
Explicit now.
Degenerate here. Yeah. Yeah, you got to air this after 10.
That's awesome. Like,
but yeah, that in a nutshell kind of is how we got here and came to be here. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What do you, now that you're in real estate, you've been doing it for 7 years?
I think I got my license in like December of 2015. So I basically started January of 2016 is when I kind of hit the ground running.
Okay.
So however many years that is.
What's your favorite thing about real estate?
I would say my favorite thing has been, it's tough. It's tough because it's a whole thing. Like, you spread joy and empower other people, mm-hmm. right? So there's a lot of things that I'm not naturally good at that you need to be good at to sell real estate. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, you got to have all your ducks in a row. You get, because like what you alluded to earlier, like, it's the biggest purchase that somebody's ever made. Mm-hmm. And selling your house and trying to buy another house is super stressful. So you need to be super on the ball and T's crossed and I's dotted and all that type of stuff. But my favorite thing, I don't know, there's a few. But but when you first asked me that, my gut instinct would be like, so in like October, November, December, that's when everybody else in real estate kind of like goes asleep and like starts taking time off. But for me, that's my favorite time, because that's like the time to start planning your business for the next year. So that's like what we just did last night. We did our like dream board party and kind of set our goals for the next year and stuff like that. So just kind of like creating your lifestyle. I guess maybe that's not so much real estate, but just being self-employed in general. Like creating your lifestyle has been my favorite part. And like lifestyle sounds like dumb or whatever, but you know what I mean? Like, right. Like you get to create it. But as far as real estate, like, I don't know, it's just been it's been a good natural fit. So to take somebody into like, make somebody feel comfortable and like empower somebody to the, like, they didn't think, like, you meet them and they don't think they can buy a house, right? And then you help them buy a house. Then you hand them the keys. And it's like, I didn't do anything, you know, like they did it all. Mm-hmm. But you're there to kind of just guide them and make sure that they get there. And that's been awesome. We're getting somebody in their dream house that they never thought they could do, or help, you know what I mean? Just that end result, and that it ends with a hug. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like that's cool. So taking a stranger, making him an acquaintance, and then sometimes making them like a pretty good friend is pretty dope. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What about you?
Yeah. I would agree with all of that, especially the lifestyle part. Like, I love like, this might sound weird because like the 9 to 5 is great. And I mean, we sometimes like, I mean, it obviously depends on the day, work 9 to 5, but it's like, I'm the one deciding that I'm going to work 9 to 5 today. Like nobody else is telling me that. And like, nobody can tell me like how to do what I do. Like I get to decide that. So exactly right. Like deciding your lifestyle. God dang it, dude. I had another one. Totally forgot it.
Well, it's different too when you've got your big why like pulling you
Yeah.
through, right?
Yeah.
That's what we talked about last night too. It's like this, okay, this is what we want. And like it's gonna get hard and it's gonna suck at times and we're gonna mess up, we're gonna fail and whatever. But like having that big enough why to like pull us through all that to get us through. And then on the other side, like you see the person that you had to become to achieve those goals is, I think that's very rewarding too and cool.
Yeah. But I would absolutely agree. Helping people too. Like
People helping
obviously,
people.
Yeah. And that too, just people, like you said, like you make friends. The clients that end up being friends are the best ones. And it's just so rewarding.
It's fun to see like when we did that client event party and it
Yep,
was like a blizzard warning and
Yep.
the driveway was just ice, but people still came from like Holly
Yep.
and other
Just to
towns
support us.
to like come and say hi and you know, like that's
Well, and
very cool.
I think we impact people more than we even think,
Yeah.
in my opinion. And based like because of that, it's like, holy cow, I never thought this many people would come to support me, which is just so cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you like to do for fun?
God, I was going to ask you that. Oh, this guy. No, for funsies, I like to, I don't know. I like to be active. So I like to play, you know, obviously, you know, like spend time with your friends and family and stuff like that. But
Yep.
I like to be alone a lot too, which,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of weird.
I feel like I'm an introverted extrovert.
Yep. Or an extrovert, introvert.
My mind is in a blender right now.
But no, so I like to do that. So I love like, I don't know. I like to play golf.
Yep.
I like to play hockey. I've been training jujitsu, which has been awesome. That's like one of my favorite things right now.
When you're a coach for a lot of sports too, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm flag football coach now. No big deal. So
Let me know when you need an offensive coordinator, dude.
add that to my resume.
Or GM.
I can't
you
wait.
need me to cut some kids? I'll do it. I'll be the bad guy.
Speaking of cutting, I can't wait till it's cold enough to like cut the sleeves off my sweatshirt, like Bill Belichick style,
Yes.
and like the headset
Yes.
and the whole thing.
Over the hood. You have to.
But that's a whole like, it just going back to what we were saying, like just, and we've talked about it other times, but like the journey, you know what I mean? So it's like, just like you just become you know what I mean? So now like we were at a flag football practice and like there's one coach and 15 kids. And the year before there was 2 coaches and 6 kids.
Yep.
So he's like, hey, can anybody help? And like
Please?
years ago, I would have never like, you know what I mean? But now it's like, yeah, of course. And then that fulfillment from like meeting new kids and then like how quickly kids that you just met are like giving you a hug and stuff. You know what I mean? Like that's just awesome. Because again, in the final analysis, like, you know, like what do I want people to say at my funeral, right? Like he made me laugh, he made me feel good, he made me believe in myself. You know what I mean? And so coaching, you know, and you don't have to be good at stuff to coach it too, which is super helpful because I was not good at anything. So that's sweet. Curling too. That's fun. What
It's
about,
pretty unique. Not a whole lot of people know how to curl.
yeah,
You should teach me.
we will. And that's been on my to-do list for about 5 years now too, is to host like a big learn to curl. Because you hear that all the time. Because like bowling, like you could just go rent some shoes and go bowling. Like you can't just like show up at the curling club and go curl. So,
Yeah.
and then hunting too. I've gotten into hunting the last couple of years, bow hunting deer and pheasant hunting. And I've scared a lot of birds over the last couple of years. Scared the crap out of a lot of birds. But yeah, what about you? What are you into?
I also like to golf. Not very good at it, but all it takes is you hit one good shot and it's like, that's why I'm here.
All right. I'm going
This
to tell
is
our
why
4
I'm at.
listeners right now. Last time I golfed with this guy, tee box is here. The green is 300 yards this way. his ball ends up 4 yards past the green.
Once in a lifetime
Just-
shot, but that's what I'm talking about.
Just
Like,
put it on a rope.
that's
just
the only
blasted
reason
it
I keep
past the
golfing,
green.
because you saw the rest of my shots and they all sucked. But it's like, that's why I keep coming back.
That's all I want to talk about, though. You know, what else you got?
Also like to hunt. Big into like duck hunting, goose hunting, waterfowl. It's like the I don't even, shooting them isn't what does it for me. It's like
Right.
tricking them and like being hidden, like, and tricking them to like lock in and like fly into your decoys. Just no better feeling. But along with that, like training my dog, absolutely love training my dog. That is just so much fun.
You got a good pup. That's
She's a good
doggy.
pup. She's a good dog. Yeah. Tiny little 45-pound dog. I can't take her goose hunting because the geese are bigger than her. So that's tough.
That's a wild concept, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She'll like run up to a goose and it's like, oh crap, this thing would kick my ass. Like, I'm going straight back into my blind and I'm hiding.
That's awesome.
So then I go get the goose, but she's good with ducks. So
Heck yeah. What else? What are you reading right now?
Can't Hurt Me, David Goggins.
Can't do it.
Listening. I wish I could read, man, but I read a page and I forget what I read about, so I got to listen to them. But that counts. We talked about it, so
Just for clarity, Spencer can read.
I can read, just not well.
Right. No, it's a great book. And everybody that has I've never talked to anybody that's read that book and had it not like impacted them in some capacity.
Yeah, that one. But like you mentioned, like Rich Dad Poor Dad, I've read and listened to that a few times. That one is just, it's one of those where it's like, I don't know what I'm doing. I need something to motivate me. You go to that book. It's a good one.
Yeah.
But also read like Dave Ramsey, those books. Those are good too.
Which
a little
is
bit different concept, but
Yeah.
I kind of like to like mesh them together, and that's
Yeah.
how I.
Which is funny because I've said that before too. Like talking to people, it's like, well, there's like Dave Ramsey people, and then there's like Robert Kiyosaki people.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because
Yep.
they're two different schools of thought, and they both like work. But I feel like what a lot of people do, kind of like what you like on the personal side, or like your consumer debt, right? Like we're not going to do that. We're going to have some mortgages though, and have other people pay for them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, those are two
Yep.
good ones.
What got you want to do a podcast? Because this was kind of your baby. You mentioned to me, hey, I want to do a podcast. I'm like, let's do it.
This was my idea.
Yep.
But you and Dustin have done everything. So this guy, these guys, no, literally, that's what it was. Like, hey, I said I want to do a podcast, and then when we were like brainstorming ideas, I was like, we should call it 2 Cents with Josh and Spence. But then anything other than that, like the logos, the music, the lighting, the whatever, like I haven't done a thing. Like I come here and I sit down and we start talking. So
You give us your support.
So
You cheer us on.
everything here is a Spencer Roan / pretty much 100%
Dustin Splint.
a Dustin Splint production. But no, we got like the idea of the podcast just came from like my favorite thing to do is to have coffee with people and talk about things that matter with people that care. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because like I like sports and I like all that type of stuff. But what really gets me juiced is like talking about just that, like talking about setting goals and what are you reading and what are you doing to better yourself and what are you doing to add value to other people and what are you doing to enhance your community and all that type of stuff. So then to just get that out there in front of other people, and then to maybe be the catalyst for those other people, like Rich Dad Poor Dad was for me, or like another thing that Isaac sent me. He just sent me this quick YouTube clip of like a compilation of like motivational speeches and whatever, and I didn't know that was a thing, didn't know those existed, and it turned me on. It's just crazy how those little things can change. Like it's had a dramatic impact on me. So I was like, what if? Oh, and then another thing. So what if that could?
Squirrel.
Hey, look at that shiny object over there. Oh. What if that could do that for somebody else? One. And then number two, I read a book. Again, The Compound Effect. That's one of my favorites. But he talks about how That's a different book. The book, this dude talked about writing. He had a journal for each one, everybody in his family. He had a journal for his wife, a journal for his kids, and a journal for himself. And I was like, that's like the one personal development thing I've never been good at doing is keeping a journal. So I was like, why don't you just, what if we just, like, this is easy. Like I can do this or whatever. So I was like, well, what if we just did a podcast? And then, cause I thought like, what if like if Joe Rogan died, you know what I mean? And his kids have thousands of hours to just listen to his dad and what his dad had to think and what would his dad think? Cause I used to think about that. Like, so my dad's like 40 years older than me. So like, what was my dad like when he was 35? What would he have been like when he was 25? You know, what would, you know what I mean? Like that sort of thing. So part of it too, so part of it just like legacy for your kids and people you leave behind. And then too is like some accountability too. You know what I mean? You don't want to come on here and just start talking about all this stuff and then be a dink behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So
it's like, hey, you talk about personal development, but I see you eating a Big Mac and smoking a cigarette and whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah. So just like a little bit of...
Don't you shit on Big Macs. That's where I put my foot down, okay? I won't have that.
Going to agree to disagree right there.
Keep going.
Agree to disagree right there. But a little bit of that too. You know what I mean? And so yeah, that's why I thought that would be a cool idea and something easy you could do, blast out. And again, spread joy and empower other people. So if we could do this and it one makes somebody smile, cool. One, if it turns somebody on to read a book or do something else or whatever we talk about, like cool. So that's it. But to have no grand idea of like, oh, we're going to monetize the pod and we're going to do this. And it's like, no, it's just a thing.
Yeah. For me, it's like, I don't even really care if anyone listens to it. Like it's like just talking about this stuff. And like, I've learned a lot from you, like since I've known you, but also in this podcast, like you're a great leader and a great person. So I get to learn more about you, but also like
keep saying stuff like that.
Yeah. But like, if anyone does listen, like, I feel like a lot of people don't know not only about real estate, but like entrepreneurship and like all that kind of stuff. So if we can just talk about that and do it in a fun way where me and you enjoy doing it and people hopefully enjoy listening to it, it's like, why not? I
do like being able to look into your eyes for 30 minutes a week. Uninterrupted.
We switched up the setup here, so we are looking directly at each other. You look so handsome today.
Dude, you've never looked better than you look in your Cheech and Chong sweatshirt right there.
Dustin, what are we at here?
So high on drugs right now.
28? Okay. Hang on. You can't just say that. I am not high on drugs right now. All right. Good time to end the pod, huh?
I'm just kidding.
28 minutes. We'll wrap it up here.
Nobody's... You ever watch Major League, the baseball movie? When the guy's like, just a bit outside. Well, there's one part where he like swears or whatever. He's like, you can't say, he's like, he says shit. He's like, you can't say shit on there. He's like, I don't give a damn. Nobody's listening.
Good point.
Yeah. Anyway, but anyway, this pod, so we probably won't talk about ourselves for another half hour straight, but we're just like, hey, what should we talk about? And like, we never really introduced ourselves. So, it's a little bit more about us and what we're about.
What drives the 2 Cents Boys. And that's our 2 cents on it.
Dude, that logo is so sweet. That logo is so sweet. That music is so sweet. Yeah.
It is a banger.
It's a
the intro song, I made it.
Yeah, I know you did. I gave you credit for it.
But maybe the listeners don't. It's a banger. That beat drop.
Oh, dude. Straight fire.
Don't crash your car when you're listening to that.
The third thing I will take credit for the pod is the change falling on.
That's fair. That's fair.
No big deal.
All right. We'll wrap it up. Thanks for listening.
Heck of a pod.
Heck of a pod.
Watch for deer.
Shake a bug.